you doing, my friends? Thank you so much for stopping by the Jovenshire channel, where we cover all things superheroes, video games, comic books, all things geeky here in one place. Now, today we've got another episode of Where to Start. Now, Where to Start is a little show that we like to do here, where we talk about the comic books that you need to be reading if you like any of the characters that you see in movies or TV shows that, had their start in comic books. Now, in the last few episodes, we've covered, very specifically superhero characters and stories that got their origins in comic books. But this week is a very special week because May the 4th is happening this week, and one of my favorite holidays. It is Star Wars Day on May the 4th. Forget it, because it's May the 4th. You guys get the joke. You guys get how it works. And because of that, I wanted to take a look at some of my favorite comics to read from the Star Wars universe. Yes, the world started in 1977 on the big screen, but we know that there's an expanded universe. We know that the video games are great. The books are great. But not a lot of fans know that the comic books are really good. Just so many good stories to read. So we're talking about three of, I think, the best ones to start with to kind of get you into the world of Star Wars comic books, because the expanded universe is big and this makes it bigger. So let's get started with Where to Start Star Wars. Now, when you're dealing with the expanded universe, you're always going to be dealing with, is it canon or is it not canon? Because before the Disney purchase, everything before that is not canon unless specified after the Disney purchase. So there is a lot of Star Wars comics that started after the Disney purchase that are considered canon, and I want to start with that because this story I've actually talked about in other videos, I've talked about on Twitter and online. It's one of my favorite, not only Star Wars comic books, but just one of my favorite Star Wars stories. And we're looking at Star Wars Darth Vader. Now, normally we say, hey, why don't you read these issues over here, or maybe this small story arc. Not in this case. With this particular story, it is 25 issues for the entire story, and I want you to read the whole thing because it is so damn good. Now, we know Darth Vader is an amazing villain on screen, and we know how he got his start and where he ends and all that fun stuff. But there's a gap that is super important that was left in the movie, and that's between episodes 4 and episode 5, because after Star Wars A New Hope, Darth Vader's kind of left in this position where the Emperor's really pissed at him because he can't get the Death Star plans from a princess, and he couldn't stop a farm boy from destroying their moon.
That's no moon.
So obviously, the Emperor is really pissed and is kind of looking at Darth Vader and is like, I don't know if I need you, man. I thought you were important, but maybe you aren't. And then he actually winds up getting a bunch of other people to kind of like go out there to fix this problem, and whoever solves the Emperor's problem will continue to be the Sith apprentice, if you will. He will be the Emperor's second-hand man. So Darth Vader's like, whoa, hold on, I'm the best there is. I'm going to step up my game and throw everyone else off. So over 25 issues, you see Darth Vader go from that spot where he lost in A New Hope to the point where he's this badass dude in Empire Strikes Back who's using bounty hunters, who has a knowledge of Luke Skywalker and everything else that's going on in the galaxy. So it's just, like, seriously, if you want to read any comic books at all, superhero, Star Wars or not, just read this comic. It's so good. If you like Star Wars, you're gonna love this series. Darth Vader or Vader Down. And so you might want to look up what those issues are as well. And you know what? I'll just have my editor put it on screen right now, because Darth Vader Down is this big crossover event where Vader actually is on the same planet as Luke Skywalker for the first time. So it's just important, and you should read it. All of it's so good. I could not recommend it more. Start there. Read Darth Vader. It's all canon. That's the thing. It's all canon. It's so good. Okay. There's other things I want to talk about, and I can literally talk about Darth Vader all day. So let's move on to the next one. Let's go. So yes, we just talked about what was canon, but I do want to take a look at some stuff that's not canon, because even though there's a lot out there that isn't canon anymore, it is still worth a good read, and sometimes just for the history alone. And way back in 1977, obviously, Star Wars became a very popular thing, a phenomenon, if you will, and they needed to find a way to kind of keep the fans fed until they can make the next movie 3 years later, and that's where the relationship started between Star Wars and Marvel. So Marvel started a comic book run way back in '78, And the issue that I want you to read is Star Wars number 16. And the reason this is such a big read is because this is the first time that since it was originated, that there was a Star Wars story that focused on characters that weren't the main characters from the original Star Wars and New Hope. There's a bounty hunter who's like a rabbit-looking alien, and then an ex-stormtrooper. So it's the first real good dive into the EU. Yes, this is just one particular issue that I want you to look at. It's not a giant story arc. It's just the one issue. Only because it's just the history. Sometimes you have to go back and see this moment where we know how important the expanded universe is now, where you aren't looking at the main characters with movies like Rogue One, or even some like the video games that we have, where it doesn't always have to be the main characters that we know. And this is where it started. That's to me really important. So if there was like one shed of information that I can give you guys, it's this moment of history where I don't know, it showed that Star Wars was more than just Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Princess Leia, Han Solo. It showed that this was an entire universe of amazing characters, and that's the little spark. That's the little spark that blew up and gave us the EU as we know it today. So go back, have your moment of history, read Star Wars number 16, 1978. It's worth it. It's just worth it. So, we've got canon. We've got stuff from the past. Now I want to give you now this one is a small story arc. It's 4 issues long. It's called Shattered Empire. And it takes place literally after the events, just like boom, Death Star blows up. There's a celebration with Ewoks. Shattered Empire starts. Now it's 4 issues and you follow 2 characters, and those 2 characters don't really interact, but they do know each other. It's this man and woman, and you find out that they're actually engaged, and after the war, they want to settle down, get married, and have a child. And you follow them through these missions where they're with Han Solo, they're with Princess Leia, they're with Luke Skywalker, and you get to see exactly what happens after the fall of the Empire. And like the vacuum of power that happens, where all of the different generals and Grand Moffs or whoever's left is trying to find their place in the Empire to keep things going. Because just because Emperor Palpatine is the threat isn't done. So they still have to clean house. And I don't want to spoil too much. It's only 4 issues. You should definitely read it because it does. It kind of connects in a weird way to Star Wars Episode 7 and the events that we eventually see, because the 2 characters that we follow, well, there's the female and the male who she's going to marry. His last name is Dameron. That's right, we're looking at Poe's parents. And, I don't want to tell you what happens at the end. The very last issue is so important, and I wonder if it'll be touched on in Episode 9. So definitely read these 4 issues before Episode 9 comes out, because, I don't know, it could play into it in a really big way. Plus, in the Princess Leia issue, she winds up going to Naboo to help the Queen there, and that's a big moment, because it's Princess Leia helping the homeworld of her mother, and to me, that was a cool thing to read and just be a part of that moment in Star Wars history. So, it's again 4 issues. So we've got a 25-issue run with Darth Vader. We've got a 1 issue with the Star Wars number 16. And then this one's a small story arc. So there you go. No matter if you want to get into a bunch of comics or a few comics, I've got you covered here. So there you have it. That was the Star Wars edition of Where to Start. And I'm going to be real honest with you. There are some amazing comics that I really want to touch on that are canon currently done by Marvel. One of them is Lando, but I want to save that for another issue. Maybe as we get closer, or another episode of Where to Start. Maybe as we get closer to the movie release at the end of the year. I'm a Star Wars fan, and I want to share the stuff that I love with you guys, so that I hope that you guys can become better fans as well, because that's what this is all about. So let me know in the comments below what other episodes of Where to Start that you want to see, and if you read any of these issues, or what other Star Wars comics we can talk about in a future episode. That's it from me now. It's something that's really, these videos don't get a lot of views here on YouTube, and that's okay. I'm also putting them up on IGTV. The whole point here is to show fans that if you love the stuff that you see on the big screen, or sometimes just on TV, there are great stories out there that you can be a part of to become better fans. So I want to share that with you. But I'm done ranting. So till the next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.